What's the furthest you've seen someone go to get something for free? Wait in line 2+ hours on free pizza day. It was one slice, and not a big one. The pizza, I'm told, was like cardboard with plastic cheese. Great example of asking yourself what your time is really worth. Worked at a fairly common pizza buffet where kids 3 and under ate free. You would not believe the amount of parents that would try to tell me their 7-10-year-olds were 3. I've got 3 kids all the same age, started an adoption and had twins along the way. All 3 are at 99th percentile on the height charts, so they look way older than their peers. I got a lot of evil eyes when I told people they were 10 and wanted the kids' meals when they were taller than many 13-14-year-olds. My grandfather used to own a small grocery store. In the store was a payphone where you could make a call for a dime. As my grandfather told it, there were quite a few people who would file down pennies to the size of a dime so they could save 9 cents on a phone call. 90% off is a pretty good deal, lol. When I waitressed at a steakhouse, we had a guy who came in about every 2 weeks to order our smallest, cheapest steak, medium rare. He'd eat 75% of the steak, then complain that it was too well done in order to get another. He pulled it a good 5-6 times before the manager banned him for life. I'd estimate that the price of his dignity worked out to about $5 per serving. When I was in the army, I received orders to attend a training course at Jackson for 6 months. One day, we had a guest lecturer come in, and she was tossing out free stress balls that looked like globes to people who answered a certain number of questions correctly. I'm not sure why, but it got my blood going. I was going to get one of those balls. What followed was a fairly intense competition between myself and 2 other soldiers attending the course, with all of us vying to get more correct answers than the others. And, at the end, I got my squishy globe. I held the thing in my hands for a couple of seconds before it suddenly dawned on me that I was a 25-year-old man who had acted like a complete idiot for the honor of owning a 30-cent toy. But it got my blood going. At least you got the stress ball to help you relax. Not exactly free, but cheap. I bought a $5 microwave on Craigslist when I was at NYU. Once I got there and picked up the microwave, I realized I didn't have a way to get back since I had walked there. It was maybe only a 15 to 20 minute walk from my dorm, but it was a lot easier not carrying a microwave. This thing weighed a lot, and there was a heavy glass plate inside that made it difficult. So then I thought, do I take the subway or a taxi? A subway ride would have been about $2.50, which would greatly inflate the cost of the microwave, and the taxi would have been far more. I seriously considered the subway, but realized there would be no easy route anyway and I'd still end up walking almost just as much distance ultimately. So, I carried that sucker the whole way, pausing several times to rest. I made it, though, and the best part is that about 3 years later I sold it on Craigslist for $10. When I sold a used couch, it was a proud moment in my life. Bought for $80 and sold for same a few years later. It was a perfectly decent, well-kept couch. Breaking even on a normally very high-priced item makes me feel I'm ahead of the game. But to get double is pretty tremendous. My hat goes off to your frugal genius. On the midway at a NASCAR race, Hellman's was throwing individual packs of mayonnaise into the crowd by their booth. People were knocking each other over as if they were $100 bills. So at a hot NASCAR event they were throwing hot mayo onto hot concrete. I tangentially knew a guy who developed a leak in his ceiling. It was slowly dripping water onto the floor of his living room. He did not fix it or stop it, rather, he moved his dining room table under it. The table was in perfect condition and only 2 years old, but after a few weeks under the leak, it developed a stain and water damage. He then got the furniture store to give him a new table. In his mind, he had essentially received those 2 years of table back. As a result, imagine he started measuring time in tables. Hey man, I haven't seen you for a while. Yay dude, it's been a few tables since we last saw each other. Distance wise, my grandmother took me to Burger King when I was a kid. We went through the drive-thru, but had to drive across town about 45 minutes. When we got home, she had pickles on her burger and had specifically asked for no pickles. So she calls Burger King to complain and is on the phone for half an hour before the manager apparently offers her a free burger on her next visit. He says we'll be right there. So we drove 45 minutes back to Burger King. She got her free burger, and we drove 45 minutes back home. By the time we got home, I was hungry again. Not free, but in college the closest Wendy's was in Canada, an hour and a half drive away plus crossing the border. We would get in the mood for a burger and drive there, have a burger, grab a beer 19 drinking age, and get back home at midnight so we could have some square burgers. My friend fished a popcorn bucket and drink out of the trash at a movie theater once and then got the concession worker to refill them. I used to work at a movie theater. It happens more than you would think. A coworker entered a pie eating contest at the country fair to win $100. He gorged on cherry pies and got sick afterwards. It lasted for 2-3 days after the contest, and he didn't win. Should have downed a bottle of castor oil and barfed all over the other contestants. I work at a low-cost vet clinic and a notorious womanizer came in, my first time meeting him. Got his dog shots and whatnot, and there was a note in his file to no longer allow payment arrangements for him. Well, I go to check him out and he's flirting so hard and I'm politely shutting him down, but he keeps on trying. So I cut him off by telling him his total, $40, and he flips his hair, gives me a chuckle and motions for me to come near him. He whispers, "I know you're new, sugar, but I'm not supposed to pay for this," and winked. I'm not new. He's just always coming on my days off. So I blankly stare at him and told him we don't accept payment arrangements from him anymore, and I'll be darned if he didn't keep trying to flirt his way out of that $40. Sugar equals oops. Sorry, I did misread your file. That's $80. Pumpkin. Not quite free, but a couple of weeks ago when Build-A-Bear Workshop had Pay Your Age Day, people were standing in lines out in the hot Atlanta summer with whiny kids everywhere for hours longer than it would have taken to earn the savings by working. What a goddamn beautiful disaster that was. They sent out coupons for $15 off any bear. We waited 5 minutes 2 weeks later for a $1.50 and $6 bear. Nando's was offering free half chicken to new university students. Had the voucher printed, got on the free university bus, which would come every 15 minutes as opposed to a regular bus which cost less than £1 and came every 3 minutes, and reached Nando's after a 10-minute walk from the bus stop, only to be told that the promotion wouldn't allow me to eat, and at which point I got the half chicken as takeaway, walked 10 minutes to the bus station, waited for the free student bus again, got back home and had my free half chicken. I had a guy drive 25 miles over a toll bridge to come pick up 8 cans with the dry, nasty dregs of house paint in them. I was very clear in my Craigslist ad. This paint is not useful for anything. There's like half an inch of crusty crap in the cans and that's it. One of my friends has always been stingy as frick. He's always trying to make money by scamming or reselling stuff at a profit, and he won't buy something unless it's cheap as heck. He's also obsessed with getting free stuff, especially free money. So a few years ago he realized that if you call Amazon and complain that you lost a gift card, sometimes they'll give you a free $50 gift card. He also realized that when you make an Amazon Prime you get a free $50 gift card and that you can transfer that gift card to another account. He decides that this is a great way to spend his summer, so he starts making Amazon accounts, transferring the free gift card to his main account, calling Amazon and fake crying over voice and video chat in order to get another $50 gift card, and then transferring that additional gift card to his main account and cancelling the subscription to Amazon Prime. He did this for about a month and now he's got about $4,000 worth of Amazon gift cards that he has never used. Scummy or not, that man definitely knows how to pull it in. You should introduce him to our illegal FEPRA tips. My grandpa drove 10 miles to a certain grocery store to get 2 cents a lb off cucumbers. He bought £5. This was right after we were already at a grocery store to get deals there. Kinda reminds me of those people who spend 10 minutes driving around looking to get the closest parking possible when it would just take an extra 2 minutes to walk if they just took the first available one they saw. In college I had to ride 40 kilometers from my rented room to the campus. I had 3 options: by train, 1 hour ride plus 20-minute walk, $2.50, prices converted, one-way ride, So $5 daily or $50 for monthly ticket. By bus 2H ride, with 2 changes, $1.10 per bus ride, $6.60 per day or $110 monthly ticket, or using network of interconnected free bus lines spanning whole metro. That was 4 hours ride, but $0. That helped with my total budget that was going strong at $20.30/month. So for half a year I spent equivalent of full-time job saving $100 per month before it occurred to me to ride by train and find a half-time job near the campus that paid $300 that covered the cost of transport as a benefit, and I had to work anyway to eat at all. I was not a smart man then. Saw a line of people, about 50 of them, camped outside of a brand new pizza place because the first 50 people in the door got free pizza for a year. Found out later on it was one personal size pizza, about 4 or 5 inches, once a month, for 1 year. Absolutely not worth it. Seems like more of a marketing scheme than people being cheap. If you actually have free pizza the whole year it seems worth to camp it. I've many times pushed my motorcycle home literally for miles and once up a mountain to avoid having to pay for a tow truck. When Dunkin' Donuts opened in my country, they gave 1 free donut to each of the first 100 customers. People queued up and slept on the street for 3 days to get one free donut. Imagine how many donuts you could buy for 3 days worth of work, especially here in Denmark where our minimum wage is $60 an hour. And I thought Latvia was bad. Recently IKEA opened here, so people spent hours in queue, waiting to get in, and they didn't even give out free stuff. People just queued to have a look at furniture in very overcrowded shop. The lines actually continued for many days. Today while I was at the shopping center Coca-Cola were giving away sample cans and vouchers for a free bottle of cola. I spent a good 30 minutes scouring the floors of the main city for vouchers that people had dropped and about 6 found voucher later I came across another one. Picked it up to discover that it was damp and stunk of pee. Instead of cola and calories, you got free pee. Sounds like a win-win. That Gamma Cube contest when a guy painted himself blue and shaved his head and placed a leaf on it to be a human Pikmin. Literally ate worms too. That's not desperation, that's dedication. Bought tickets to a Lady Gaga concert and brought who I thought was a friend. She wasn't impressed with the location of the seats and for the entire show she was trying to convince security at stage level checkpoints that she had cancer and was dying and her last wish was to get up close to Lady Gaga. Needless to say it didn't work. We don't speak and I was peeved because she was so drunk I missed a show I paid for to try to keep her butt out of jail or being thrown out because she was my ride home. Worked with a guy who was a real tightwad. Bought the cheapest beer they make. Even caught him sneaking his own beers into a bar. We superglued a dime onto the floor by the outside door. Watched him try to pick it up. Laughed. Then he left. Came back with a nice chisel. Took him a few minutes but he got the dime. Press the coin against a belt sander first to remove one side. It will leave a rough surface that adheres better and makes the coin worthless. Source: there is a constant stream of old men outside my office and they will move heaven and earth for a frickin' quarter. It's hilarious. I don't know if they do it everywhere but around Huntington, WV every Friday the 13th the local tattoo parlors do discounts tattoos. I think it's $13 for a small 1 inches tattoo, single color, from a limited selection of flash. People line up for 12 hours for this. They do that here in Pensacola. No appointments. You have to stand in line all day, and you have like 3 options. I know a few people who have done it and are very pleased with themselves, but I can't imagine wasting my entire day on that crap. Maybe everyone else has more free time than me. My father used to drive a good 10 minutes out of the way every week when he went to see his mother on Wednesday afternoons to get a free bottle of water from the BMW dealership. Like that, seriously? You spent more money on gas for your dang Tahoe than the water bottle would have cost. I was an active duty military member in a military town. It blew me away how many active duty members would wait in line for a table packed with strangers to get a free meal. A lot of restaurants offer free meals to veterans and active duty, and lots of people would make the rounds during the day. It would cause chaos in places with lots of active duty members. I would just pay for a meal at a less packed restaurant. I was recently volunteered to go eat at one of these events. I ended up making face so my chief could see me there, shook a few hands, then bailed, went to a burger place down the road that was empty, and ended up getting my appetizer comped since I made friends with the bartender. We were white trash. A house burned down on our block and my mother looted it. Instead of selling it right away, she stacked it all in our front yard, which you could fricking see from the burned house. I remember the homeowner ringing our bell, and me having to wake my mom to talk to her. I was so ashamed. I had been collecting Bing points to buy the Fallout 4 season pass. It took a while to save up, and I cashed them out $10 at a time. I was really close to the $50 or so needed, and was just waiting on my last $10 reward to buy it. Then when I hit it, literally 2 days before about $20 expired, I was really upset about that, and I messaged Xbox support about it. I said that I already had a purchase in mind, and the $20 just expired 2 days ago. I asked if there would be any way they could credit it back just so I could make the purchase. If you've ever tried contacting Xbox support, that's a struggle on its own. Nobody I talked to could do anything, and I eventually got them to finally escalate the issue, but that person wouldn't help either, which really bothered me because here I've been paying for Xbox Live since its inception and buy several Xbox games over the years, and they're going to be uber strict over $20. So, I tried other things. I tweeted at Xbox. I think I even tweeted their CMO and a few other employees who I could find. Not working grunts, but important folks. But I don't think that went anywhere. During one of the support calls, I asked to have my Xbox Live membership cancelled, and I think this is what might have helped things along. Also, when the support guy cancelled my Xbox Live, he cancelled it that same day, despite me having 3 months left on my subscription. I think it was about a week or two after that when I got a response from someone. I think a DM on Twitter or something. I don't remember exactly, but essentially it was a real person at Xbox who reached out about helping me. I had a call with him directly and explained the whole situation, and he sent me an email which was a typical support ticket, but one I guess he was handling personally. Through that exchange, I managed to get like a $25 credit or something, plus 3 months of Xbox Live free to make up for what I had already had left in my original subscription at cancellation. So, I then bought the season pass and have been in Nuka World ever since. My cousin had like 13 accounts at one time for this. Anytime I'd see him he would ask for my laptop and would put his hand on the keyboard, move it a little, and after every search and remove a character. Ended up getting like $400 worth of games by the time many of the accounts were closed. We were in the nosebleeds of some pro sports event and they called a nearby guy's seat number because he won a case of soda. He was excited and went to get it and never came back to watch the rest of the game. The soda is worth much less than the ticket. Maybe he got a better seat as part of the deal. If not, yikes. McDonald's occasionally does the free coffee thing during end of school exams. My friend apparently stopped at the drive-thru 5 times a day to get free coffee. If I were making the policy, people have to come into the store to get it. To be fair, it was a small university town with just a crap ton of students and he lived near the McDonald's. My mum is guilty. Our local shop does amazing coffee, and it's free for students. I don't drink coffee, but I'm a student. I'd order her coffee with my id several times a day. She'd put what she didn't drink in the fridge and microwave it to drink later on. One year I didn't feel like going out on Halloween and was renting a place in the burbs. I had the same 9-ish-year-old kid come by 11 times with slight alterations to their costume. Never underestimate the power of full-size candy bars. At a water park last year, my friends and I all sat down to eat at a restaurant in the park. And after ordering our food I noticed how much food the people who just left had left on their plates. It was a felony. 3/4 of a pizza, entire bowls of fries that looked and touched, etc. and way more. While no staff were around, I stole their leftovers and started eating them stealthily, hiding them under the table whenever staff were nearby. My friends were freaking screaming at me the whole time, but it was so funny and worth That was a good pizza. I'm pretty sure the staff knew and just didn't care, lol. A lady on Facebook wanted a free LuLaRoe dress. She inquired about it and then later sent a message saying it was her husband and that she was in a terrible car accident, but the one thing that would bring her happiness was to have the dress. It didn't work. Mars bars had a promotion that had writing on the inside of the wrapper that won you a free Mars bar. My mate bought 127 until he won one. Kid I graduated HS with is in the Air Force Reserves. On Veterans Day he went to multiple restaurants for the free meal, got to go boxes for every restaurant. Must have gone to 10 plus restaurants. His mom Facebooked every stop like it was a proud moment. Kinda disgusted about the whole thing. Oh and yeah, they are pretty financially stable. That's so embarrassing. God, I still cringe thinking about this. Friends and I were in a mall food court just talking for a bit. Next to us were two ladies talking next to a baby carriage. Mother holding her child trying to lull it to sleep. I see $5 sitting on the floor. I bring this to the attention of my friend since he is closer with the assumption that he would pick it up and hand it to her. Instead he slyly steps on it and slowly starts sliding it over so he can discreetly pick it up. Before that could happen though, this big gentleman comes over, grabs his leg and pushes it aside. Takes the $5 and hands it back to the mother. Meanwhile the rest of us are just stunned and shocked that he would be so selfish and are completely embarrassed. I think about it at least once a week. Took my son to an Easter egg hunt. The prize was cheap plastic Easter eggs with miscellaneous plastic prizes inside, i.e. little frogs, rings or stick-on earrings. Mind you, this was for kids 5 and under. This older woman was literally running out in front of the kids and snatching as many eggs as she could. You would have thought they were filled with gold. She would then run over to her husband who was behind the fenced area and unload her haul. No joke, they had hundreds. Meanwhile my toddler was happy with the 3 eggs he got. I was getting so mad but I bit my tongue as it was a family event, but to this day it still pisses me off. This really seems like a failure on the part of the organizers. My buddy and I had a need for a new futon in high school. One day we decided to hang out in the senior lounge during lunch and dong around on our phones. We start looking in Craigslist and we find one north of us in Vermont. We call our parents and get dismissal phone calls placed and we dip. We jump in the 1996 Camry and dart up 91N to get that futon. We arrive at the dude's driveway. The snowy, icy, winding slick slope was in the way. We slowly climb the Camry up the slope and park in the guy's driveway. We meet him in his basement walkout. He gives us tools to disassemble the futon and shove it in the Camry. Unbelievably, we get the whole freaking thing, frame and all, onto or into the Camry. Then the guy, out of freaking nowhere, charges us. He needed us to move his upstairs couch downstairs. We bravely lug the massive sleeper couch through 2 feet of snow, around the house, and into the walkout. We said our goodbyes and drove back down 91S and started moving the futon up his 3-story colonial, winding staircases and all. It was an awesome but desperate afternoon of my life. Camry, sorry, after reading it so many times, I had to. OpenTable has a program where you earn 1 point for dining at a restaurant reserved via their website. 20 points equal to $1, I think. Anyway, a friend of mine made a reservation, showed up, dined and paid with cash. For whatever reason, she was marked as a no-show so she didn't receive reward point. She spent an hour on the phone with OT customer service, another half with the restaurant, who she claimed to have marked her as such to dodge the fee, then another with OT again to get her 5 cents. She makes at least $75k a year and just bought a $2 million house with her boyfriend. She's done this several times with numerous businesses for very little money, in the name of a matter of principles. Had an ex pretend to be mentally disabled and I was her carer to get discounted entry to the aquarium for her and free entry for me. This probably won't get seen, but a few years ago, I had a plane ticket that I needed to reschedule because I wasn't going to be flying to a conference any longer. I called and gave them the excuse that my uncle had died, and to my immediate relief, they cancelled and gave me a refund. Right after, the agent says, "Before you hang up, can I please have the name of the funeral home and the priest doing the eulogy, or whatever it's called?" I sheepishly agree to call them back. While panicking inside, I looked up an obituary online, call the local funeral home and say I'm the brother of the deceased, and ask what the name is of the person doing the funeral was. They transferred me to the funeral director, who asked me who I was about 3 times and then finally gave me the name. I hung up, called the agent back, gave him the info, and never heard from them again. I may be going to heck, but at least I didn't get charged for a rescheduled ticket. Last week I was at a Quick Trip and some guy was theatrically begging for free food from the clerk, declaiming about world hunger and humanity needing to be there for one another like he was giving a freaking TED talk. The clerk kept saying he can't, and eventually the guy stopped begging and was like, "Oh, you think I'm some sort of bum who doesn't matter, huh? Yeah, okay buddy," slurred mumbling. He then went outside and hopped on what looked like a fairly expensive motorcycle and drove off. I saw something similar at a food truck event. Heard this well-dressed guy going from truck to truck soliciting for free food under the guise of exhibiting Christian principles or helping out a Christian man, or some such nonsense. I think he also made the helping each other out argument. Such a scumbag. My buddy once saw an online Target ad for a mispriced Wii U console for about $70, if I recall correctly. He then went to Walmart and after about 10 minutes of arguing with the manager, they agreed to price match the console for $70. He then went to the next Walmart to try and get the same deal. However, by the time he got there, Walmart had already sent out a company-wide email telling them to not price match the Wii U console and that it was a mistake by the online company, Target, and that if you try to check out online, it won't let you. He threw a small public fit and the Walmart manager agreed to give him a $25 Walmart gift card for his time travel. He then went to 4 more Walmart stores in the area and proceeded to con them out a $25 gift cards at each one. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.